In this WrestleTalk news, is there backstage heat between Brock Lesnar and the departed Shane McMahon? Is Alexa Bliss's return being delayed? Who is walking through AEW's forbidden door? And more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Let's kick this week off with some much needed happy news, as not only did Keith Lee and Mia Yim officially become free agents this past week, they got married over the weekend. Congratulations and many happy returns to the happy couple from everyone here at WrestleTalk. Go over to Twitter, they're at @RealKeithLee and at Mia Yim. Go and send them some love. In the span of just 5 days, Shane McMahon returned in the Royal Rumble, was reported to have big matches for Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania, got tons of heat backstage for his behavior during the planning of the Rumble, and was then fired by his own father. That was just 5 days. Reports started to come out shortly after the Rumble event that Shane was being very difficult to work with when it came to booking the match, verbally berating producer Jamie Noble and trying to make the Rumble all about him. A source told Dave Meltzer for the Wrestling Observer newsletter he was unprofessional, the likes of which left Vince no option but to fire him. Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful Select has now added that Shane even pitched himself entering in at number 1 because he wanted a spot in the Rumble that would highlight him. Meltzer adds in the Observer that plans were constantly changing all day, and talent will be told one thing by Shane, who was then overruled by Vince. Sean Ross Sapp describes it as Vince making changes to the match and wouldn't be doing much of what Shane laid out. But it wasn't just Vince that Shane was rubbing up the wrong way. It was eventual Royal Rumble winner Brock Lesnar. Dave Meltzer notes there were 3 different views on the Rumble match: Shane's, Vince's, and Brock's. He's reporting that there were disagreements between Shane and Lesnar regarding the closing stages of the match, and Vince eventually overruled Shane's plans, ending up agreeing with Lesnar. SRS adds when Vince McMahon learned of Shane McMahon's plans, he wasn't happy about them, neither was Brock Lesnar. Shane was insistent on seeing them through, which didn't end up happening. Meltzer adds that the heat between the two wasn't helped when Shane botched his elimination by Lesnar and had to do it a second time when he didn't jump high enough to get over the ropes. According to Meltzer, and this one's pretty funny, the only spot Shane got from what he pitched, which was where he would outstrike babyface and former UFC fighter Matt Riddle. This company just made $1 billion. And as if all of that didn't sound insane enough, Sean Ross Sapp adds on Fightful Select that Shane's entry number was seemingly switched without telling him. According to SRS, Shane was supposed to be number 29, but they played his music for number 28, which was originally slated for Randy Orton. Sapp writes those near the situation say and heard Shane McMahon reacted hastily, and Orton pretty well informed him via verbal cues that he would, in fact, not be entering to Shane McMahon's theme, so Shane probably needed to go out when his number was called. What do you make of the heat between Shane McMahon and Brock Lesnar? Let me know in the comments down below. Someone who was never factored in for a Rumble return, however, was Alexa Bliss, and now we possibly know why. Thank you for your support on Patreon, the Vindicator Finn Brennan and Brandon I Just Make the List sires. You can get your own Patreon shoutout in the WrestleTalk news over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Alexa Bliss hasn't been in-ring on WWE TV since September's Extreme Rules last year, where she lost to Charlotte Flair, who then tore up her Lily doll. On the January 3rd episode of Raw, it was announced that Alexa Bliss would be making her journey back to the show, which began the following week with therapy sessions, which have been playing out on TV over the last 4 weeks. This led many fans to believe that Bliss would be making a surprise return in the Royal Rumble match, but that wasn't the case, and the therapy session videos have continued to air on Raw. The segments have been quite odd though, and not just because it's Alexa Bliss. Although the first one aired in full, the subsequent ones have just faded out halfway through and cut back to the commentators. And according to Fightful Select, that's because, despite airing 5 Alexa Bliss videos in 4 weeks, only 2 actually fully produced segments have aired. Fightful are reporting that WWE filmed 9 therapy sessions, so they're apparently cutting them up to extend out the story and may even double up on them until they're ready for Alexa to return. That means the last 3 weeks worth of videos have actually only been from 1 segment. And because this is a long-term plan, according to Fightful Select, Alexa wasn't factored into the Royal Rumble creative. WWE and long-term plans? That does not compute. But this means we now have a race on our hands. Who will get to Raw first? Alexa Bliss's journey or Veer Mahan's coming? Let me know in the comments down below who you've got your money on. Fun fact, Veer Mahan is only 28 days away from breaking Emelina's 133-day Is Coming vignette reign. Come on, Veer. A return that definitely isn't happening though is Kurt Angle's. On his podcast recently, Angle announced that WWE had called him to return to the company after they released him in 2020 as part of their budget cuts. He's since expanded upon that, saying it was to do a 3-week program that would have led into WrestleMania, and was even spotted at the Royal Rumble but didn't feature in the match. Angle has now revealed on the Kurt Angle Show that WWE cancelled the program at the very last moment. According to Ringside News, so I would usually at this point say take it with a pinch of salt, but in fairness they did get all the Shane McMahon stuff, but according to Ringside News there is some truth to the story. It's just not entirely as Kurt put it. Apparently Angle was never set for a WrestleMania storyline, and he was only brought to the Rumble weekend to film stuff for WWE documentaries. They add that the 3-week story that Angle was talking about was nothing more than a pitch, and that it was never anything that Vince signed off on. Although, going by what Sean Ross Sapp said on this week's Fightful Select Q&A show, there are a lot of Mania plans up in the air following Shane McMahon's departure. SRS notes that the likes of Edge, Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles don't currently have concrete plans in place for what they'll be doing at the most stupendous 2-night Mania premium live event buzzword. So, could Kurt Angle be the one to walk through AEW's newly announced Forbidden Door? Following last Friday's AEW Rampage, Tony Khan put out a tweet saying the Forbidden Door can be opened for anyone from any wrestling promotion in the world, whether or not it's a company AEW is on good terms with. Even if it's someone from a company that's open for business, they're also welcome to slam the door in the face of their prior company. So, is it a free agent or a Forbidden Door type situation? According to Tony, it's both. Adding the big announcement for Wednesday's Dynamite that we referenced on Rampage, a free agent debut, and the person walking through the Forbidden Door are one and the same. They're walking in the door, signing a contract, then slamming the door shut. This is the Steiner maths of Forbidden Door teasers. The Forbidden Free Door agent, Forbidden Doorgent, will be in the Face of the Revolution qualifying match against Isaiah Cassidy this Wednesday on Dynamite, and Cassidy has started to tease that it could be none other than Jeff Hardy, saying this better not be who I think it is, y'all are gonna force me to put this dude out for good, 100 emoji. Can I just be honest with you? I don't know what the 100 emoji means. That makes me feel very old. I just don't know what it means. Jeff Hardy was released by WWE on December 5th, 2021 after he was acting erratically at a house show. It was then reported that WWE offered him rehab and he refused. However, his brother Matt revealed on Twitch that Jeff has been clean for a while and WWE jumped the gun on releasing him. Jeff was offered a spot in this year's Royal Rumble by WWE but turned it down, asking to see the drug test results because he knew they would be negative. However, Jeff is only 64 days into his 90-day non-compete, which will come to an end on March 5th, 2022, which likely rules him out for this Wednesday. However, March 5th is just one day before AEW Revolution, so, you know, Jeff Hardy to AEW confirmed. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Cassidy's opponent could be the newly married Keith Lee, saying we're told he's been talked about for AEW, if not, has already agreed to a deal there. Keith Lee to AEW confirmed. But perhaps it could be British heavyweight champion and New Japan's Will Ospreay, who at RevPro's recent show over the weekend called out AEW's Jon Moxley. Both men are booked for New Japan's Windy City Riot on April 16th. And Ospreay recently started a new Twitter feud with AEW's Kenny Omega. Go on then. Will Ospreay to AEW confirmed. Lastly, we just wanted to thank everyone who tuned in for our hour-long interview with AEW's Eddie Kingston last Friday. We were only supposed to have half an hour with him, but Eddie was kind enough to go through all of your questions, giving honest and very frank answers. He spoke openly about his mental health, his struggles with addiction and suicide, but also wrestling stuff, like how he really doesn't like CM Punk, or Chris Jericho, or Bryan Danielson. Here's a clip.
There is none. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Just because we had a match against, here's the thing, I'm not one of those guys that has a match with somebody and then goes on Twitter and says, hey bud, thanks. Or I'm not that guy that's gonna, not even a minute after we support each other. You're trying to shake my hand. Get out of here. Get out of here. You either just beat me or I beat you. Get out of here. I don't want to.